Ara Ara. What is happening, guys? It's Michael Reeves, aka brother of Keanu Reeves, aka Gamebie here. I extend my warmest welcomes to all of you as we indulge ourselves in the world of Genshin Impact. Before we begin, today's fun fact of the day is that clicking the big red button right below the video will give you a warm, fuzzy feeling if you haven't already clicked it. Now, let's begin exploring another character who happens to reside in the world of Teyvat. From what I gather, she's super powerful, wields great electro-infused elemental skills, and is calm, cool, and collected during a battle. And no, we're not talking about Kaching. It's Lisa. Yeah, that Lisa. The prime simp material for all those unfortunate enough to fall for her, lazy attitude and dangerous anger management issues and questionable life choices. Why is everyone so hung up on her again? You first encounter Lisa after you, the traveler, however, have arrived in Mondstadt, just 360 no-scoped a big blue lizard, and now, along with Kaya and Amber, visit the headquarters of the Knights of the Favonius. At first glance, and every glance after that, you notice that she's a stereotypical Ara character whose lethargic demeanor knows no bounds. And just like every other stereotypical Ara character, she hides secrets deep within her and a power level that could rival someone like Walter. That's right, people. Lisa is indeed a very powerful mage. She just, chooses not to be? Man, I really don't see the appeal, but to each their own, I guess. Let's explore a little bit more about her as well as some opinions that other people have of her. Through this, I hope that you guys have a better understanding of who she is and are enticed to look much past her present, look closely at her past more, and look towards the future to what she could become if any event pushes her to do so. Since I've caught up to the story and I'm just kind of waiting on Inazuma, I've been trying to look into any meaningful opinions anyone may have had about Lisa. And I decided it's best to start with the chief alchemist and the captain of the investigation team of the Knights of the Favonius. That's right, guys, I'm talking about Daddy Albedo. Now, I'm super excited to explore him in a video down the line because he's such an interesting character, what with being a homunculus and all, but we're saving that for something else. But just to give a brief background on him, he's the type of person to stay very much secluded when doing his research because he feels that friendships involve way too much time to form and maintaining them is even worse. And we all know he's not exactly a peanut gallery himself. However, his opinion on Lisa is one that sparks interest to those willing to listen.
Lisa? I always am impressed by the valuable perspectives she brings to discussions. But is a person with her talents satisfied with such a basic occupation as librarian? There must be some hidden reason for this.
Albedo himself is someone who shouldn't be messed around with because he possesses a great deal of knowledge in the realm of alchemy. So for him to hold Lisa to such a high accord is truly quite something in my opinion. When talking about how she can hold her anger, however, she's not someone to mess with. You see, Lisa rarely gets mad, but it doesn't mean she's always someone you can poke at. Digging into her more, we can see that Lisa is very serious about two things, her books and her sleep. And I quote, "When Lisa becomes angered, the surrounding air becomes electrified in part due to her electrovision. This generally occurs whenever someone doesn't return one of her borrowed books on time or if they are damaged or stolen." End quote. Yeah, when I go to the library, I'll go, hey, so I had no idea the books were due this week because my internet was out and my uncle's brother's father's godmother's priest at her local church just had a heart attack. Could you be a real one and just, slide that under the radar just this one time and they'll go, yeah, okay, here you go, bud. But if I were even to show my ugly mug if my book's 2 seconds late, to Lisa, she'll go,
I'll determine your body's resonant frequency and play a jaunty horn solo that bowls your miserable organs inside out. You failed monkey IQ excuse for a traveler.
Another fun little detail is her love for naps and tea. Well, I don't think love is the best word to use. Maybe something lighter like crippling addiction.
Today's no good for going out. Perfect weather for
Did I
sipping
say
coffee
yesterday?
yesterday. I'm just kidding. Save my energy for
Before you Lisa Sims start flaming me for hating don't. I'm not hating. I honestly think Lisa's a great character. I'm just pointing out some of her characteristics, let's say. When looking at some of her story tidbits, it seems that she just loves her naps just as much as her books. And rest assured, she'll get just as mad. And I quote, "To visit during unacceptable hours, such as in the morning while Lisa is sleeping in, or in the afternoon while she's enjoying her tea, can spell disaster for unsuspecting visitors." End quote. So, if you want to keep your limbs intact and not become an afternoon shish kebab, it's best to let her have her tea or nap. So seeing her might become a bit of a short notice disaster. Now, I've been around the bush about her humorous characteristics long enough. I feel like it's appropriate that we turn the page to her more iffy side, if you will. Lisa's a librarian. I'm sure y'all have gathered that up at this point. She even has a restricted section where she probably keeps the data files for upcoming banners like Ayaka and Runeguard. But her powers transcend that of a mere librarian. In fact, Lisa's a graduate from none other than the highly acclaimed Sumeru Academia located in the Dendro nation of Sumeru. But not just any graduate. Cyrus, the branch manager for the Knights of the Favonius, has said that she was the best student to attend the Academia in over 200 years. 200 years! 2 centuries! 220 years times 10. I don't know, it's pretty amazing if you think about it. Here I am with my 80% average in my first year post-secondary, go figure. So why didn't she go any further? Why isn't she some headmaster or something, or headmistress for Sumeru Academia? Well, Lisa knows things, both about what the endless aspiration and visions can do to you, and unfortunately they both don't possess the greatest results. Let's start by looking at her opinion on visions.
A vision may seem like a great tool, but one day, the power one accumulates always finds a way to turn back on you. Should such a day come for me, so long as you're around. Never mind.
This is a Lisa emotion trip that goes down south fast. You start to see that Lisa isn't completely fond of the idea of visions. Though she admits that they're necessary to control the elements in Teyvat, it seems that too much of it could one day become the bane of one's existence. And I quote, "With the aid of her vision, Lisa acquired the knowledge that she sought, but she also sensed the deep secret hidden in the shadows of that knowledge. For whatever reason, the gods gave humans the key to changing everything, but they did not explain the cost involved. Lisa grew fearful of the truth. The vision that hung from her neck became to her a bottomless pit filled with sweet delights lingering at the back of her mind. So, from time to time, when somebody whom she finds interesting comes along, Lisa will pass on to them her understanding on all kinds of matters. Perhaps she is secretly hoping that by doing so, one day someone will come along who has the ability to understand the ultimate truth behind visions." End quote. When Lisa got her vision, she definitely knew it was something she could use to broaden her knowledge of the elements in a more practical fashion. But just like my growing addiction for Genshin Impact, the vision too became something that Lisa always kept at the back of her mind because she grew increasingly wary of the cost involved with possessing a vision. Oh, and a fun fact, Lisa just thought that she wanted a vision, like, "Oh, I want a vision." And she got one, just like that. Okay, what if I went, "Oh, I want $1 billion." I'm not gonna get $1 billion. What kind of tomfoolery is this? Come on, MiHoYo, what are you smoking? I want some of that. When looking at another story tidbit, we find out one of the reasons as to why Lisa left Sumeru Academia, though it may not be the whole reason. And I quote, "Having personally witnessed raving mad scholars in the forests of Sumeru and powerful sages sitting underutilized advisory councils, Lisa realized what uninhibited erudition can really do to a person. It seems such a high price to pay. How much did one have to sacrifice to attain the profoundest knowledge at all?" Put off by this realization, Lisa decided to leave Sumeru. Since then, Lisa has always stopped short of taking things too seriously. Before demanding too many miracles from the gods, first consider if you're willing to pay the price they ask. These words she has spoken to just 3 people since arriving at Mondstadt. In each case, it was because she knew it was what they needed to hear. Before anything else, I can't for the life of me figure out who these 3 people that she addressed that cold sentence to could have been. If you guys have any ideas, please let me know in the comments below because I'm dying to find out. A very similar situation with the visions, we can see that Lisa had left Sumeru because the scholars had become too chaotic and at each other's throats with the amount of knowledge that they possessed, and she couldn't stand any of that. It also seems like it'll be one of the focal points for the Sumeru chapter when we eventually get there. As noted in the Teyvat chapter storyline, spoilers ahead, if you guys haven't watched the Teyvat chapter storyline and don't plan to, I'd say skip this part a bit. I'll kind of put a note as to what part of the video to skip to. But if you watch the Teyvat chapter storyline video or just do not care, you want to get in as much Lisa info as possible, then let's continue. When the narrator introduces Sumeru, he says, and I quote, "In the city of scholars, there's a push for folly. Yet the god of wisdom, whose enemy is wisdom itself, makes no argument against it." End quote. It's very likely that the contradiction that Lisa faced will be a huge focal point when we do reach that arc at some point in the foreseeable future. One more thing before finishing off the video is Lisa's history while in Mondstadt. Lisa was once a grand mage before giving up that life to become a librarian. When she first joined the Knights of Favonius, the Grand Master Varga sought to appoint her as the captain of the 8th Company, but she simply refused because she didn't think her type of leadership would be well appreciated. That's not to say she never taught anyone. In fact, she took on one pupil that we know of as our dear wolf boy. After receiving his vision, Razor was taught by none other than Lisa. Through some of his voice lines, we learned that Lisa's teaching methods indeed might have gone underappreciated by the 8th Company of the Knights of the Favonius.
Lisa lightning makes the sky black. She is strong. She is scary.
That doesn't mean she's all bad. When Razor rejected Varka's offer of taking him into the city, Lisa took his place to teach Razor how to speak, fight, and take care of himself and his wolf friends. It's interesting to see how many sides of Lisa there are. If you've managed to successfully nerd out with me about Lisa, you too can agree she's an amazingly complex character. She's been through a lot of crap, particularly with visions and the haughty scholars of Sumeru, but that doesn't uncover why she turned the way she did. And if she's so lethargic all the time, why would she go out of her way to teach a wolf boy how to speak and fight when she could easily be sipping tea, napping, or committing mass genocide because Reckless Pallid didn't return to kill a mockingbird? Is she really that lazy that she would give up being a grand mage? Does she really think her leadership isn't fit to lead a part of the Knights of Favonius, or does the real reason go much deeper? She's an interesting character for sure, and I feel if we don't find anything about her from Inazuma, we're definitely going to uncover some pieces of her in Sumeru regarding her and her character. Until that point, this is all the definitive information I could dig out because again, with these videos, I don't plan to make any theories. There are other, much better and more capable channels of doing that. I, for one, just want to stick to nerding about any definitive information that I feel is at least 90 to 95% true. Please feel free to add anything I may have missed in the comments or even your own, information, anything you might have dug out that you think might be true for sure. Other than that, feel free to subscribe, like, and comment down below what would you like to see in our next video because I'm more than ready to engage with you guys and I hope to see you guys very soon in the lands of Teyvat.